Thank you so much. So, this is our first virtual event. My name is Umar, and I am the director, Startup Grind Swat chapter. Are you listening all clearly, right? Hearing all? Okay. So, Startup Grind is the world's largest community for startups, founders, innovators, and creators. We have 600 chapters in 125 countries. We have 3.5 million outreach. Our reach is 3.5 million people. So Startup Grind is one of the vibrant tech and startup community in our country, Pakistan. We have hosted more than 10 digital leaders at our chapter events. Swat is one of the most beautiful places in Pakistan. It is renowned by its outstanding natural beauty. We introduced startup community for the very first time in Swat, which we have connected more than 1,000 people within 10 minutes because within 10 months because we have hosted 4 events here. So these are the list of our previous speakers which we have already hosted. So now our today's speaker is Mr. Marcelo Diaz. Thank you so much, sir, for coming. He is founder of Tremuli.org. He is serial entrepreneur, angel investor, and venture capitalist, founder and managing partner in Latin America and Middle East. Marcelo has invested in 252 startups so far from all over the South and North America, Europe, and Middle East. So basically, this month is presented by Amazon Web Services, which is partnered with Startup Grind headquarters. So we will give, there are two benefits in which we will give to all the participants. After the event, we will send you an email. You will receive $1,000 credit on Amazon Web Services. All the details, including application form, all we will send you after the email. Yeah, so thank you so much. This was my brief introduction. Now, I would like to invite Mr. Marcelo Diaz Bowen.
For being here. I don't know how many people we have so far, but hopefully I see some friends from Chile too. Hopefully the idea is to share a little bit your experiences more than mine. I don't know how long we have, but to be honest, my main idea with this was learning more about SWAT, more about what's happening in Pakistan in terms. So I was saying that the most important thing for me today is it's to learn about what you're doing, to learn more about Pakistan, and how can investors can help you to I don't know, to have a higher potential of being successful in your startups. Um, I don't know what page do you have open.
It's the second
Umar?
page, your introduction.
Okay. So my introduction. I'm an entrepreneur. I've been having my own company since I left the university. And to be honest, uh, I think I was forced to be an entrepreneur because it took me long to find a job and then started my own career. I had a couple of bankruptcies in my life. I lost everything. I don't know how it's in Pakistan, but here in South America, when your company cannot pay your loans, you have to pay your own debt. So it's not like the company owns the money and then you're out with no problems. You have to pay everything. And in my case, I had lost my house and my cars, etc. It was a hard thing to happen, but it makes you stronger. At the end, makes you believe better in what you're doing. And the successes that I had in my life later, it's because I was able to face failure and not being destroyed by it, because I had worst in the past. Can you hear me now?
Yes, clearly.
Just put in your chat. Great. All right. So I am the general partner of Ipticar Fund. It's a Middle East venture capital firm that we created I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago in Palestine. My family, even if I'm from Chile, but my family comes from Bethlehem, from Bet Sahur, so closer to Pakistan than Chile. But I'm telling you, like 100 years ago. So I came back some years ago to Palestine and realized there was a fantastic group of entrepreneurs there trying to create their own startups, and we created a venture capital firm there to support them and to help them. Maybe we can do something in Pakistan like that, right? Why not? It's all about finding the right people, and if you can find good talent, you can find it everywhere. I'm a general and managing partner of WeBoost. It's a Chilean venture capital firm. You can find the links later, or I can share with you. It's a small venture capital firm. We're closing in a $20 million fund, and we're doing seed capital investments of around $1 million per company. Now I can see the screen. I'm the founder of Tremulei. Tremulei it's a Mapudungun language. Is the original language from Chile. The natives here talk that language, and it means to grow. And it's an advisor firm. We help big companies to support startups and small SMEs all around the country. I'm an advisor of Open Buchef, which is the accelerator of the largest university in Chile in terms of the engineer school. The other one is Catholic University, which I used to be the general manager of their accelerator. I'm an advisor of Village Capital, which is a venture capital firm in Mexico and United States. I'm an angel investor. I've been investing my own money. When you're an entrepreneur and you do good, you start investing your money in other entrepreneurs and other founders. Let me check. Now it's fine. Thank you, Sajjad. What else? I don't know. I can talk hours about myself, but I really want to learn about your companies later. Okay, so I was awarded by the TV because I used to have a docu reality show in which I was bringing startups and entrepreneurs from Latin America to Silicon Valley. It was pretty fun. It lasted like a couple of years. And the amazing thing is that we were even able to raise capital from Silicon Valley investors to these Latin American kids. So I thought it was an amazing experience for them. When you're an entrepreneur, usually you are very alone. Maybe your mother and grandmother knows what you're doing, but not everybody in your community. So it's great for them to see on TV what you're doing and how other people, especially investors from the Valley, were able to see your talent and investing in these companies. I co-created a digital bank, Latin America, which is how can I say? It's an experience that we're doing with startups and banks all over the Latin America. And what we do is that we gather one day a year in each country or different cities with the best banks possible all over the place. And we present them startups to see if they fit each other, if they can help each other. And it's been a fantastic journey. So I'm really happy about it. I've been investing as a venture capital in the last 10 years. I used to be part of the Scale Capital, which is Telefonica Ventures. I don't know if you know Telefonica, but it's like AT&T for Latin America. It's huge. I've been a director of a software development company. I was a CEO of an incubator from the Catholic University, and I used to be the board director of the Chilean National Incubator Association. So I've been around the world investing. I was in Wuhan like 3 years ago. So I was close to be there. I mean, I've been investing and making deals all over the world, and I found in myself that it's the best way to do is to, when you're successful, to help others. just to be doing this sounds crazy for my partners, like be talking to Pakistan. Why should I do it? It's because maybe one day we could do something together. So, and that's it. I mean, I'm an agronomist by study, engineer agronomist. But then I did a couple of executive classes at Stanford and Harvard, and I'm really happy to do that. If you ever have the chance to do it, travel the world and see other cultures is fantastic. It's fantastic. So can you change the slide, Umar, please? Let me know when you do it, because it takes longer to load here. Okay, so it doesn't matter where you are. I don't know if you know where Chile is. I know where Pakistan is, but I didn't know where Swat was. So I had to do my Google search. We're very far away. I usually travel 2-3 times a year to Palestine, which is right there where Mediterranean Sea ends. And it's pretty, close. I might be able to go once to Pakistan. If you ever invite me, Umar, we'll be more than happy. As soon as this stupid virus stops keeping us in the house, right? You saw myself with a jacket and a shirt, and now I'm like using a t-shirt here in the house. And at some point, maybe my kids are gonna come in. So please feel like you're in my house. Okay, so go to the next one, please.
Sure.
So it doesn't matter where you are. When you create a startup, you always think that things are going to be as you plan it, right? But the reality is really, really hard. I don't know. We might have people in this meeting that already have their own company, and this seems pretty obvious for them. But if this is being recorded, I hope this will help some entrepreneurs who are thinking in creating their own startup, and to learn that what investors do usually is to not be negative, but it's being more realistic than your optimistic self. I'm an optimistic guy, and I usually think things are going to be easier and faster and cheaper than it really happens. So now I can say that I'm an optimistic with experience. So now I know what are the kind of problems you might face, and I typically prepare myself for that. So the funny thing too is that when you're successful, can you move to the next one, Umar, please?
Sure.
When you're successful, people think it's pretty simple. It's okay. So you from A to B. But the reality is that you really had a harsh time. Right now, what's happening with the virus all over the world, it's tremendous. Most of the companies are suffering a lot, and who would ever think this was going to happen 1 year ago, or even 4 or 5 months ago? So how the team is able to being successful having these problems, it's something that you'll never forget as a person and as a company. How you treat your employees, how you treat your partners, how do you are you really that connected with them? This is really important, really important. And things are gonna be nasty, I mean, but you have to face it with your team. This is a teamwork. So let's go to the next one. All right, so this is what usually happens when you create your startup. You think everything's gonna be fine, then all your team is like, woo, we're having parties and starting with everything, and then suddenly your clients are not buying your stuff. Nobody's paying for it, nobody likes it, and the things that you thought it was going to be very simple and happy, it didn't happen. I had the chance of investing in entrepreneurs that only been successful before, and it wasn't a good experience. They were not prepared for being defeated or having problems. You need people with bad experience in your team. You need to invest in entrepreneurs who had problems before, because Not everybody is good at facing problems. And failure, it's a hard word. In South America, in Spanish, to fail is like you failed like, as a person. We don't have a different word for the company failed or the person failed. So you are a failure. This is a cultural thing. I don't know how is in Urdu, but to be honest, it's hard. It's hard, and that's why you need people who had faced problems before. And then, if you have a good team, I always said to the startups, like, when you have a team, think like you're in a submarine under the sea. Is this the team that you want to have? Because your life depends on it, right? So keep your team close. And if there's somebody who is not good enough, you have two solutions. Kick him out as soon as possible, or you need to save this guy or this girl, whatever. But the thing is, your life depends on it, and the life of your company will depend on how good your team it works together. I love how people is watching me from their beds. Don't change the picture. I love it. No, as soon as you're not in the bathroom, we'll find my friends. No problem. Here in Chile is 9 a.m. in the morning. So as you can see, we have a big time difference. Okay, so as soon as your team is able and yourself is able to find solutions, even by changing the business model, even by talking to other people who passed this problem before and now they have a different point of view, or even if you try 100 things and suddenly something is working, then boom, things starts going well. Okay, I'm gonna be asking. I'm gonna be open the mics later for you to ask questions. All right, and don't worry, I'll have the whole morning for you guys, so we can be talking for hours. Okay, as long as internet doesn't kick me off again and again. All right, so let's go to the next one, Umar, please.
Sure.
Okay, so this is the typical startup life cycle, right? I mean, sometimes the valley of death, I don't know if you know about what it means, but it means that when you are not making money or not making money enough to even have a break even and pay, and the incomes is the same as the expenses, right? So at the beginning, you're gonna need a lot of help. Sometimes it's with capital, sometimes it's with mentoring and good ideas, but you are alone with your team here. And if you're a CEO of a startup, you usually feel very lonely because it's hard to find people that you can talk with, talk about your problems. You cannot be talking to people who works for you that you're really worried about not being able to pay their salaries next week, right? This is the kind of talk that you cannot have with them because you're gonna put everybody in nervous, and they're gonna be flying out of your company. So you need, usually what I do recommend is to have a good mentor. And mentors are people with experience who already passed this before and who are really into helping you, and even being I don't know, to be engaged enough to ask you for shares of your company. And to be honest, I've seen in other countries that sometimes mentors ask too much equity of companies. What I usually will recommend you guys is to have one or two mentors for 2% of the company, no more than that. Pre-dilution, all right? So having one or two mentors with, I don't know, 4% of the company top, it's a good number, not more than that, okay? If somebody tells you, hey, listen, I invented Apple, so I want 30% of your company for my mentorship and only to use my last name, do not go that way. Usually it's not gonna be good enough, not even for raised capital. Okay, so at the beginning, you will need a lot of help. I don't know, Umar, maybe you can say yes or no, just like that. If you have incubators or accelerators in Swat or Islamabad, whatever.
We have.
Yes, yes, you have. Okay, so listen, you need them for three main reasons. usually the accelerators, the incubators will have a lot of startups. So just being that network will help you, right? Their job, even if they're asking for 5 to 10% of the company, but their job is to invest in your company and bring you a good network, marketing, and help you to find good clients. We're, in South America, we're not used to invest millions of dollars in startup to grow without having revenue. Usually what we do is to find startups who can make money as soon as possible. And once the unit economics are positive, or at least we know the unit economics, we invest millions of dollars to make them grow and to go all around the region. Your country is huge. Chile is only 17 million people.
Yes.
So because of that, we are forced to go international from the beginning, from day one. We cannot have a good startup with 17 million potential customers, even less than that, because not everybody can pay, right? So we need to go to Brazil, we need to go to Mexico, we need to go to Peru, we need to go to Argentina to export our startups. That's why internet has been a blessing for technological entrepreneurs in Chile, right? So I encourage you that even if you have a huge country, you need to be looking for larger countries to go big, okay? And that will increase your probabilities of raising capital from international investors. So at the beginning, you will have, can you go to the next one, please, Umar?
Yeah.
You need help, right? Who are you going to talk with? So go to the next one. So usually you have three, before that. Usually you have three main sources of capital. You have the incubators, you have angel investors, who are people who like what you're doing, who likes you as a team, and your grandfather or family, friends. Somebody called them fools. I said family, friends, and fans, right? People who likes you are willing to help you. These usually will help you to pivot before going either two ways, to break even, or at least to know your unit economics, at least to know what is the customer acquire of a client, what is your sales cycle, what is the lifetime value of what the people is acquiring. I mean, what is the main numbers that your company knows? So it takes me $10 on Facebook, Google ads, or whatever other, Instagram, whatever way that you're making to acquire a user or a customer. And this customer is paying X amount of money as soon as it's been acquired. And it does it in, I don't know, 10 months or 3 months. On, I don't know, it's been 3 months and the guys keep paying my startup. So we're going in the right direction. There are many ways to raise capital at the beginning. And these ways usually depends on the kind of what money you need and what you guys do, or what you guys need in terms of how big you guys want to go. So as you can see in this graph, at the beginning, you're going to be raising capital from the incubators, grants from your government, family, friends, and fans, and angel investors later. But then you're going to be asking money for venture capital firms. And not every startup is for a venture capital firm. Because what we do in the VC industry is to make you grow. But the business behind venture capital is that we give you money, we take a share, no more than 20% usually, to make you bigger. And that in less than 10 years, we need to make that 20% being that equity has to be at least 10 times more money than we invested before, right? So our business as a VC is to make your company as big as possible. So market is a big deal here. So not every company it's good to be invested as a VC, because sometimes you have a good company who is making good money, for your partners, and you can grow by private equity maybe through dividends, but you don't need to grow so big that you'll be diluting yourself on time. So if you want to play the game of VCs, you need to be able to learn. You need to understand that maybe you're going to have at the end of 5 rounds, you're going to have like 20% of your own company, but you're going to be making millions, right? So it's a long talk about VCs, and maybe we can answer some questions before that. Let's go to the next one, Umar, please.
Yeah, sure.
So maybe you can share the link of this pitch clinic.
Okay.
I created a long time ago. This is a template that I have in SlideShare. If you find it by my name, you'll find it easier. But maybe I can. Let me do something. Let me find it, and I'm gonna copy in the text my uploads. Sorry, I should have this ready, but I'll do it right now. It's pretty simple. Hopefully it's gonna help you guys. Here it is. Okay, so in the chat is the link for this. Okay, can you see it now? It's a long template of how to do a good pitch. Okay, hopefully it's going to help you. And I just wrote down here at the right of this in your screen what we look for when we invest in companies, right? And usually we go in that exact same order. First, we want to know what is the problem that you're facing, right? We want to know if you're solving a headache or you have the COVID-19 vaccine, right? So depends of if you're a nice to have or a must have, the solution that you are going to present us later, it's how eager we are to invest in your startup, right? So first present the problem, then present the solution. And remember that pitching is a storytelling. It's like when you're talking with your kids, it's when you're talking with think investors as 5-year-old kids. We need to learn and to understand very well what you guys are doing, right? So everything has to be very connected. You're telling a story. Do not go, this is a problem, next, this is a solution, next, this is a product. Practice a lot your pitching, okay? And you're gonna be able to do, the hardest is the 30-second pitch. The easiest is the 30-minute pitch because you have a lot of time. But usually what happens that we investors will be looking at your screen around 8 seconds. And if we don't like what we're listening or seeing, we usually go to our phones, to be pretty honest, because we see hundreds of companies. So yes, we will share it, Mr. Mohammed. We will share it in the group later, the link. Okay. I don't want you to be watching the pitch template now. Please listen to me. So first the problem, then connect it to the solution that you guys created. If you already have a product, show the product. We want to know if you're a PowerPoint company or if you already created something. And here comes the bigger one. You have to explain how big is the market, right? And it has to be coherent, right? We need to, I don't care how big is the, film industry in the world. If you're just trying to sell, a solution for the film industry in your city. What I need to learn is how big is the world market, how big is your local market, and how big can you go with the money that you're asking for, right? So TAM, SAM, and SOM. Please check that out. Then what is your business model? How are you making money? And if you don't know yet, which is something typical in a startup, in a very early stage startup, at least you need to be explaining me and intelligent or smart way that you think you're going to be making money in the next months or years. All right. Then you need to show us your traction. If you already have traction, if you already have users, you already have downloads, you already have people paying you, I want to see it in a beautiful graph. Okay. So be smart and show us the best graph you have. If you don't have too many people paying for your service, at least for your services, at least show me how many people download your app or how many people is using your software. Okay. Because your business model might take 1% of user acquisition of the thousands of people you have or millions of people you have. It doesn't matter. So show us the best graph you can show us in your traction. Then present your competition. And this is really important because when people tell me that they don't have, oh, it's prayer time. I'm sorry. Here is 9:30 in the morning, so 9:41. All right, so if you tell me that you don't have competition, I usually don't listen to these entrepreneurs. Because even doing nothing, even the status quo of people keep doing what they're doing without knowing that you exist is your competition. So look for your real competition and show us in a very good quadrant way, easy to learn, not big tables with clicks and X's or ticks and X's. Go to a quadrant way, and usually you go up to the right. Explain me in 2 axes, what are the 2 ways that you're better than your competition? I'm faster, I don't know, I'm simpler to use. Do not say you're cheaper, because if Google pays for the same and gives it away for free, you're out. I mean, cheaper is not a competitive way to learn to present your company. Then talk about your customer acquisition. How are you acquiring those customers? Through what way you're doing it? Through social network, you're calling them by phone, you're knocking doors, you have a sales team, whatever. But you have to explain us, how are you acquiring those customers? Here comes the most important one for me, which is the team. How present your team in a good way. Who are you? I don't know you guys. And remember that the first page is just a dot in a whiteboard. It's really hard for me to say, oh, I love it, I want to invest. How much money you want right now? I'll send you a check. That is never going to happen. You're going to need at least 3 or 4 meetings. So you're just a dot, and the next meeting is going to be another dot, and the next meeting. So you're creating a graph, and usually has to go up in my mental care. Like, I like these guys. They're doing follow-ups every month, and every time I get an email from them, their company is doing better and better. So you know what? Maybe in 2-3 months, or maybe in 2-3 weeks, Umar, let's have a coffee. Let me hear a little bit more about your company, how you guys are doing. That's how investment goes. It's never like a one blind date and you're loving the first one. That never happens. You need time. You need to talk to people. You need to engage and to learn about what are their ambitions and how big they want to go. And if you are the right partner or not. Sometimes I see companies that I like them a lot, but my venture capital firm has investors who ask me to invest in certain kind of companies, right? But I know other VCs who are my friends, and they do invest in these kind of companies you are presenting me. So what I do is I introduce them. So sometimes your company is not for my VC or my angel investment myself, because I don't know about this industry, but I know people who knows people, right? And this helps a lot. Network is really important. And the last two are really important, is how much money you want to raise. Sometimes I see beautiful presentations, and then at the end it's like, okay, so you presented this for me, but you never asked for money. Why are you presenting this to me? So you need to be asking of how much money you are raising now, or how much money you want to raise in 6 months, and why. Remember, it's not like, okay, I'm going to raise $250,000. Okay, for what? Oh, yes, I'm going to be spending this 50% in marketing, 30% in operations and whatever, and technology. Okay, but to do what? It's like you need to present your goals. I'm raising $250,000 to increase my revenue to this, or to acquire this amount of users in the next 18 months. And here's another tip. I usually raise for 18 months, not for 12, because it takes you around 6 months to raise money. So go for 18 months. Do not raise too much, because you're going to dilute yourself a lot. And then in the next round, if you were not able to get your goals, you're going to be doing a down round, which means that investors are going to give you maybe the same amount of money for more equity, and you're going to be diluting yourself. So if you want to raise $2 million in the next, let's say, 3 years, go for 500,000, grow as big as possible for, I don't know, a small equity, and then get the other 1.5 million for another small equity point. Because if you ask for the 2 million at the beginning, you're going to be giving away, like, I don't know, 50% of your company. Don't do that. All right? And that will be all in terms of my presentation. This is just a meeting, right, with more than 50 people. I really like to learn about your company, Umar. I like to learn about what you guys are doing there. What is the ecosystem, and how could I help? I think that, I mean, I have 20 years doing this. I have an ocean of knowledge of 3 inches deep. Of many kind of technologies and markets all around the world. I'd love to learn more about what are you doing, and how can I help. So you can put the next slide, so I don't have to be watching this guy asking me for showing me his money. Jerry Maguire, good picture, good movie. Okay, so how are we gonna do it? Maybe people can raise their hands and ask for questions, Umar?
Exactly.
Let me know if you have a question too. I can see the chat, so...
Yeah. Those who have a question, so please paste in the chat section.
Okay. Killian.
He is from Germany.
Please,
Yes.
Yes. If I pronounce wrong your names, do not be mad at me. This usually happens. I speak native Spanish, a little bit of Portuguese, and I'm learning Arabic, but
thank you.
It's hard.
Marcelo, I have a question. And what do you think? I have chatted with Kaya from Slidebean, and he's said to me, a business plan is not needed for a tech company. What do you think about this words?
Okay, let me hear it again. So your business plan?
Also Kaya from Slidebean said to me, a business plan is not relevant to a tech company because you cannot calculate how much you will grow in the first years. What do you think about this?
Okay. I think he might be right in terms that I'd never seen in my life a business plan who went right. What usually happens is that you as a team, you create a business plan to set goals for your company, right? But it's nothing more than that, because what happens is that you're gonna go a little bit lower, a lot lower, a little bit higher, or a lot higher. Sometimes when you invest in companies, they go higher, right? So business plan, and that's a blessing. But most of the times, the business plan don't go well. So what I don't like to see huge business plans to raise capital, because it's a waste of time. What I like to see is what the team wants to achieve. A good presentation in a PowerPoint or keynote is good enough for me, as long as you have data to show me that you guys are doing a good job. So that for that's the answer. So let me learn about what are you doing. Are you raising capital right now in an early stage, or you already have a company who is making money?
Okay, we are building the company for now. We
Okay,
are building
great.
a platform. Yes.
Okay, so you are guessing. You learned when you were in school the um, the hypothesis versus reality, right? So in this case, think about that whatever business plan you have right now is an hypothesis, and you need to do the test to see if this hypothesis is going to go well or wrong. So losing time in writing business plans right now is not a good idea for me, and I think your investor is right. What you should be trying to do is to lower the risk of investing in your company. That means that the hypothesis that you're doing right now creates tests that creates good results. So let's say that you are thinking that if you approach this kind of market with the solution that you're doing at the price that you're thinking, you're going to have X amount of clicks, downloads, or payments. So do that. Do work. I don't know if you guys do agile methodologies to work on your teams, but what I usually do is I create like sprints for 2 weeks of development, and then try hard with marketing to do tests for a couple of weeks again to see if this is working or not. And if it's not, we're pivoting in another direction. I had companies making money, but not good enough, and we pivot 5 times, and in the fifth one, we made a home run in a market we had no idea we were dealing with, and then suddenly we're making millions in a month. So you need to be all the time pivoting and until you find the right market. Is that good for you, Killian?
Yeah, thanks. That's great. But what do you think? How big should the founding team? How much people should the founding team be about? Because you don't know. I think you need a CTO, you need a CFO, and the person, the CEO, who has the vision, who has had the idea. Or do you think there should be the fourth person?
So I don't recommend numbers, because I've seen 1 and 5, and all of them are doing well. Founding teams usually are 2-3 people. The most important thing is that at least you're gonna have people that you can talk freely and honestly about the problems and the things that you're doing right, and they're gonna be there together. I usually don't like one guy startup unless they have good mentors, because it again is a very lonely situation, and you need somebody who you can talk with. I mean, if you're gonna be talking with your spouse or wife or whatever, or your husband, you're gonna ruin your your family. So it's good to have others to talk with. In terms of technology, I do never ever invest in a startup in technology who doesn't have a CTO in the founding team. So if you don't have a CTO and you are asking me to invest in a company who's going to be paying a third party to do their technology, usually I wouldn't do it, because my investment is going to be the revenue of a third party. I'd rather have somebody there who can run and write the codes.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so there are other questions there. The most difficult timing, this is Cass. The thing of a startup is getting the initial idea. Do you have any advice on this? Yes, I do have one. Ideas are free. So many times I heard, yes, I had that idea before. It's like, it's the difference between an entrepreneur and a one-entrepreneur, we call it. It's like, I want to be an entrepreneur, but I'd never do it. Ideas are 10% of of the company. 90% of the company is how hard you work to make it real. It's how good your team is. It's like how hard you all as a team work to make this happen. And if you're doing it in the right market, in the right timing. So if you're gonna fall in love in an idea that you really want to create, first, don't fall in love with the idea. It's like when you have a kid. You think it's the most beautiful baby you've ever seen in your life, but not everybody's going to think the same. So your startups are the same. Be open to understand that your kid might not be as beautiful as you think, and the solution has to be changing all the time. It has to fit the market that you're looking for. So, and the other advice I would say is that go for something that you really, really, really care. Because things are gonna go wrong at some times. And if you're not in love with solving this certain problem, you're gonna kick in the startup and start and look for a job. So it's not the idea itself. So let's say something. For example, I always been in love with the idea of helping other entrepreneurs. This is something that I really, really enjoy. I have a lot of fun doing it. And at the same time, I do good money investing in these guys. So I help them grow their companies. Sometimes we do good, sometimes we do wrong. And if we do wrong, but they did a great job of being honest and doing their best, I might be investing in them again. If they do wrong because they were tricky or they were hiding things from the board, you kick them out and you never want to see them again, right? But sometimes markets don't go well, but the entrepreneurs did their best. I love that. I love to in helping this. So I found myself in time investing as an angel investor, creating venture capital firms, managing our CSR for helping startups. This is the kind of things you look for. So I decided at some point in my life, I didn't want to create my own company again and go big, rather than doing what I'm doing. And I'm having a lot of fun. So this is the kind of things that, and sometimes you don't have fun because sometimes you lose a lot of money, but others pay the others, you know? Okay, so Malik says he had a question, but he never wrote it. Maybe you can write it now. Cristian Cortez from Chile. What is the industry that has the greatest potential with disruptive technology? Cristian, if I had that answer, I wouldn't be sitting here. Right now, is solving the COVID-19. There are many answers for that question, Cristian. There are many industries. Educational technologies are going bigger every day. Using Zoom right now is big, right? So we're communicating with Pakistan, talking about startups thanks to this. I remember Messenger when I was a kid, trying to talk to my friends. So there are many industries. Health is one of those. And I think health should be changing. Most of the engineers are watching death right now, not as the way all should find the end of their lives, but as a problem. And engineers are always looking to solve problems. So trying to live 120 years might be the next big industry, but I don't know. I have investments in games. I have investments in health. I have investments in, I don't know, software as a service for big companies. Software as a service right now is big. Platforms should be the next one that I like. Okay, next for SF Carroll. Currently, I have a successful prototype, but would like to find another founder or two. What's your experience with finding another founder? Okay, so I have a lot of experience there. I've been a bad founder too. Sometimes you go into a company and you think you're going to be able to I don't know, help a lot, and suddenly you find yourself in a lockdown where everybody knew your experience, but I don't know how to tell you, but you were not as good as a founder as you think you thought. So you need to step down. I had that experience, and at the same time, I created companies with founders, and suddenly I realized that these founders were not as great as I thought they were. So there are many ways to do it. First, what I would do is you need to find people that you can talk with and be honest, because having a co-founder is having like a wife or a husband. You're going to be talking with them, and you're going to be spending most of the time during the day working with them. So if you don't have a good relation, it's going to be hard. Sometimes you can have a co-founder which is an amazing CTO but does not talk at all, or an amazing CFO, or that, I don't know, doesn't like to, I don't know, drink a Coca-Cola with you, or is not, or he goes from 9 to 5 or 8 to 10, and then he doesn't answer any email or whatever. So you need to have a good talk with him. You need to be able to express yourself with honesty, and they need to be really good, and able to work with you shoulder to shoulder, we call it, like all together, like in a scrum in rugby, right? So finding a good co-founder is not easy. Usually happens in time. And if you are the founder of a company and you want to give equity to people to work with you, I always encourage you to do it in 4 to 5 years in a vesting way, because you have no idea what's going to happen in the next 4 or 5 years. And you don't want to be giving equity to people who is going to come with you for 6 months and a year, they're going to leave, and they're going to leave with 5% of your company. So give it away in time, right? Okay, Christian, again, what is the most important unit economics that investors sees? Usually it's not one, but it's a mix of all of them. Like what is the cost of acquisition? It's the whole math, right? So if the expenses that you're doing and the time you're expending, usually time is the most hard expenses, because you cannot get it back. But every expense that you're getting in order to acquire a customer or somebody who's willing to pay for your services or your technology, and then how much money you're getting away with it, and if that money is enough to pay your salaries and the direct cost and the operational cost, and how many people you need to find, how many customers you need to find in order to pay your company. That's kind of math we do. And then we extrapolate it in time to see if with my capital, how many people will get, how many customers will get, and this, how much money is going to make. And at some point, there are ways to make optimal, how to have your unit economics more in I don't know. Oh, my English is rusty, but how to make more money out of this. Because when you get 100 users, it's going to be easier to get 110 than when you have one user to have 2, right? So people get people, and if you create referrals, your unit economics should be better in time. Usama says, I started a company, Turner Solutions, without investing a huge amount. Nice. Just bought a domain name and hosting, and then I draw everything out of it. Would you please tell me how can I get financiers? Okay, so listen, you're in the idea stage, Usama. What you really need is to show investors that what you're doing, it's interesting for somebody. And how are you going to make money out of that? So investors will not give you money because they like you, unless they're your grandparents. They're going to give you money because they think they're going to make more money with you. So in order to make more money, you need to explain me, how are you making my money more money? It's as simple as that, right? So answer the question, what are you going to sell, to who, how much are you going to charge them, and how much money you're going to be making, right? So, and if with my money, how are you going to make me more rich? Because what is going to happen is I usually invest in 10 companies, but only one is very successful. Only one is very successful and pay for the other 9. Right? So you might be one of the 9. So I need to learn how are you think you're going to be that one, right? Good investors, sometimes we're lucky and we have 4 that are paying. One is going to be higher than others, but then you have 3 or 4 who makes a lot of good money, and then you have 3 or 4 who are not making revenue, and usually you do write-offs of those investments. But you need to explain us how are you going to make us more rich. Okay. Okay, don't forget to introduce yourself along with your LinkedIn. Okay, that's you, Umar. Okay. Okay. Okay, Usama, you said your startup is successful and making money. Well, I want to grow to get. Okay. No more questions? Come on. We still have people here, right? At least 30 people. So anyway, you can contact me through Twitter, which is Marcelo Diaz B. Okay, we have another one. Sajjad, how are you, Marcelo?
Yeah.
Okay. Talk, please.
Yeah. Okay. I'm Google Developer Student Club lead and running a society of 1,000+ developers. So recently, I have 2 startups. One is named Helix and the other is Stylex. Helix is basically built for online healthcare domain. Like there, one person can call a doctor to their home even. So recently it was shortlisted in top 15 out of 576 top startups in Pakistan by 2020 by Google developers and UNDP and Telenor Velocity. So I was one of the very few startups who got shortlisted in the to that, and now like I already developed another solution for the community. Like there is no one thinking about female empowerment, and like, and the other thing is that transgenders empowerment. Like what I'm doing to make transgenders get their integrity back and to do something for the society with integrity, and also to make female be empowered at sitting at their homes. Like in our society there is a big problem for females to get out of their homes and do something for themselves or for their families. So what I'm doing to make female good enough to earn at their home, not getting outside of their home, by having their own home based skills or beautician skills. So this is what my startup all about. I'm already done with development, and actually I'm going to submit the startup this community-based startup for Google. Actually, we are the first batch from Google Developer Student Club. Like we are run by Google directly, and I'm going to submit that by the end of this month. So I'm just confused between two things. Like one is the Helix, which is shortlisted by Google developers, UNDP and Telenor Velocity out of 576 in top 15. And the other is Stylex, like which is like I see more potential in this because I'm doing something good for the society, like to make female empower and to do something for transgenders, because everyone here in our society like considering them as a very minor type of folks. So what will you suggest me, like to which startup shall I go with and to which I do more focus on?
It's a question that I cannot answer because it really depends on you, Sajjad. You're asking me, should I marry this woman or this woman? And I'm like, I really don't know both of them, right? So it's, are you really asking me that question? So okay, so here's the thing: you're the CTO or CEO?
I'm the CEO and the CTO both, because I'm a technical person and the founder as well.
Okay, good. So here's the thing: at some point in your life, you'll need to decide. You rather be rich or you rather be king? right? Some startups might make you make a lot of money, right? Might. Others will
Mhm.
fill your heart. And you need to decide which one do you want to do in this moment of your life. How old are you?
I'm 23.
There you go. You're just starting, my friend. No worries. You're 50% of my age, right? So
Wow.
so so
Yeah.
maybe you can do both. I don't know. It all depends on the team that you have. For example, do you have others working for you for Helix?
Sorry, I didn't get that. The
Sorry.
voice
Do
just
you
got
have
dropped.
do you have other co-founders with you for Helix, for the company that you were shortlisted by Google?
Yes, yeah. I have a co-founder who is a doctor, and that Helix. I have a co-founder who is a doctor, and in Stylex, there who is a co-founder with me is a female.
Okay, good. So at your capacity as a developer, can you share your time with both of them at this stage?
Yeah, because like all the time I'm doing this stuff, and also like I got some leniency from my university too, because
There you
like
go.
after getting that startup shortlisted, so my university taking like trust in me, and they are already supporting me in every initiative I'm taking, because I'm already doing so much for university folks, like um, making them resourceful by teaching them cloud computing, Flutter development, and Firebase, etc. So
Well,
university have enough
maybe
trust in.
maybe the answer is you can do both by the time.
Yup.
Okay, you can encourage your co-founders to be the leading voice in your startups, right? Uh, by Google and by Stylex, the one that you like a lot, and help both. At some point, you'll need to decide, but you don't need to be deciding now, right?
Sure.
So there you have your answer.
That's cool, I think. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're more than welcome. Let me know how you do it later. Okay, we have another question.
Uh,
I am a student of BS and I want to start a little business in part-time. Okay, I cannot understand your name because it's a GMS 7493. I don't know what, well, I really do know one, but I had never invested and I will never invest in a company where the founders are doing part-time, because you want your money invested in a company where the founders are suffering as I am giving them my savings and others people's money too. So great that you want to create a part-time business at some especially now that you're a student, right? But as soon as you have your business running, you need to be devoting yourself 100% to it in order to fundraise money. The only company I learned later that it was created as a part-time for the founders was Uber. Did you know that? I didn't know. I learned it like a year ago. Oh, well, there you go. And they raise money anyway. Okay. More questions? Any questions, Umar, from your side?
No, thank you. We have 24 participants. Anyone have a question? I think it's enough. So
Google
what
does.
is
Okay.
Killian back. I
Yeah,
think
Killian.
about
Okay.
go to
You're
disrupt.
asking me. So you're
Go to
asking me a
disrupt.
tough.
They're
Yes.
2020, and yeah, I think Google Glass is very cool, but I think it should be a way where glasses should be much more affordable, such Google Glasses.
Yes.
But and they could have the function. I think I have the idea to do it. And yeah, what do you think about this trend? And will this last, or will this be
Okay.
Yeah,
let me give you my honest answer. I love them. I really
me
love
too.
them.
Me too.
Yes, I really would love to have my own Google Glass. But I was in 2012, I think I was, or 13 in Silicon Valley. And a friend of mine bought them, $1,500. We were walking on the streets, and from the other side of the street, somebody showed them glass hole. There was this huge problem in the community where people were filming everything. They go to the discos. They go. There was a small light, like in the screen, the camera. Yeah. So I really like the idea. I think they were affordable for rich people at the beginning, and this is usually how the curves goes, right?
Yeah.
I would love to have them and to be able to use them, but what do I know? The markets will tell us in time. Maybe it's going to be another solution for the same thing, but I don't know. I wouldn't invest money right now in that. Listen, one of the things that I've learned in time is that timing is really important when you're investing.
Do you think the timing
Sometimes,
is good for smart glasses?
right now is not, in my opinion. And how do I look for, and time is money, yes. But how do I look for if the timing is good or not? Not just because of the size of the market and how it's growing internationally, but I usually look it for in the traction of the companies and how faster they're growing. So if I have two companies with the same team and one has a bigger market than the other, I usually go for the bigger market. And if I have two companies with the same team and the same market, which it would never happen, but the same market, I will see for which one has the solution that is growing faster. So the traction is really important, and how big is the market is how good my money will be invested in time, because in less than 10 years, I need to be selling my equity for a larger number that I invested in the company at the beginning. So sounds easy, but believe me, it's
Yeah.
really
I think
hard.
this place in the glass would be much too much expensive. But what I think about for the first version is like the Alexa wireframes, but paired with another voice assistant. And yeah, let's be your smart, have smart. Let's get. You can hear a podcast with them. Something like this would be very interesting for the first step, I think.
Mhm. So the thing is, sometimes people go to Bali and think that this is the hit and everybody's going to be using them, etc., etc. And then you go back to your country and you realize that Silicon Valley is not the world. And that we have a lot of other things to take care before using Google Glasses. So I don't know. I love virtual reality. I don't know. I paid for everything that I could to use them, and then after 20 minutes using them, I'm completely dizzy.
Mhm.
So so everything depends on how the market will behave in order to invest in that. Okay, Mohammed. So you say, hi, I want to start a new local business in my area, and I want to the business or market needs. How will I get market need? Wow. Uh, I mean, in order to create your business, you need to learn first if you're going to have customers. So my opinion on this is, before investing your money and time in anything, do a small test. So go to the streets, ask for the people if they were willing to pay for. They're willing to pay for what you want to sell, and then invest your time and money. Do not. The thing is, when I was a kid, everything was about quality control. So you had a company. I used to have a company who made car batteries, right? So everything was about uh, taking care of each step of the manufacturing in order to be sure that the quality of the product was good. So then you hire a lot of people to be selling in the streets. And you've been paying a lot of money to guys to create the best thing. They knew they were going to be great because they were experts in their area. And then you create the product, you invested millions in products and time, etc. And then you go out in the market and nobody buys your products. So do it the other way. Create prototypes, spend your money and see what people really want, and then go back to the lab and create it. I sold one of my biotech companies doing that, selling products that I didn't have, and with the money they prepaid for the products, I bought the technology, created the product, and exported it, right? And then I sold my company to a big lab. So this is the kind of things you need to be doing. We said selling in green, like when they're green, when they're not even ready. Go outside with prototypes and try to sell them. And if you find people willing to pay for that, even when it's not ready, you found something that is good enough to create your own local business, Mohammed. God bless you too, my friend. All right, Umar.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir, for your time. And, okay, so we should